We'll call the Treasury Subcommittee meeting. What's today? October 26th. I should know that. It's my wedding anniversary.
All right.
37.
It's a big
We're at
topic
52
today.
now.
Wow, Mark.
52.
52.
Wow.
Put me to
You got
shit.
married when you were 15 or something?
20.
Yeah. For you.
Like 4 months in.
4 months. Well, hey, gotta start somewhere.
Solid.
Well, it's a start.
Yeah.
Only a few more to go. All right, so September 26th, and let's get right into it. We've got minutes from October 12th, which unfortunately I didn't attend, although I did review the minutes, and it looks like we've also got here the 28th, Adam. That's the one I'm signing. That's from September 28th. So we're approving today, we're approving the minutes from October 12th.
Which, if you
Yes.
saw the video, you can vote on.
I just reviewed the minutes. I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't see.
I don't know if that's required or not.
Our practice is if you watch a video or listen to the audio, you can vote on the minutes. If you haven't, then
No, I didn't.
you can just abstain.
So it looks like of the members that were present, it's only Commissioner Crandall that was there. So I'll ask you, do you approve?
I approve, but since it's not a quorum, I don't know what we do. I think we're going to have to wait to either get.
Well, I can review it before next week or next meeting if that is that acceptable.
Since no videos are done and there is no audio, is there any? I think would reviewing the minutes be adequate? We only got myself, and then Scott was here as an alternate.
Well, to review the minutes and then vote on the minutes, the only information you have is what's written in the minutes, and the point of the minutes is to accurately record the actions taken by a committee. So without the audio, listening to the audio of the recording or the audio of the meeting, if you want to,
Will the audio be available?
it is.
Okay, I'll listen to it, and then next time we'll.
Okay.
And obviously, I can't do it.
Yeah. Do you want to push off voting on these minutes then?
Let's
So
do
we
that.
have a chance?
Let's do it.
It's on YouTube? Is that where the audio is?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can look at it too if you want.
Yeah, because I wasn't here either.
Looks like we had the fish. What's it called? Sea Serve Fish
Yes.
Company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The old donut shop.
Glad to see they're getting that going. Hopefully. All right, so that takes care of that, and then the first item that we have tonight is the item A, which is the HBPA 22-297. That's the 212 Rosa Mills Act Agreement on the property at 212 Avenida Rosa. Mr. Carrillo, you're going to do a presentation.
Yes, I have to. Good afternoon. If the subcommittee is okay, would we be okay with reordering the agenda to have Christian Walk's item go first?
I don't have a problem with that.
His is item B. I don't think it should be an issue.
It's on this one.
Why do you want to do
this
that?
one not.
He's here.
He's here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, the other one's not showing up.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Let's do it.
All right. So yeah, we have two Mills Act contract applications in today that we'll be reviewing. And just quick background on the Mills Act program. It is a state program that allows cities to enter into these agreements with historic property owners. That is the only qualification that they be on the list of historic properties in a city. And what that allows cities to do is to give them a property tax relief, and in return, the owner agrees to reinvest the tax savings back into the property. So we have come up with a list that we'll go over shortly. But 217 Esplanade, it was built in 1927 with a two-story Spanish colonial revival style home. That's the prominent style here in the Subcommittee. Permit history is not long compared to the other one that we'll be reviewing later. In our records, we only did find 2 permits, and I think they may be for the same reason, Christian. I don't know. The wording was a little different, but in 1987, it was to repair the main sewer line in the driveway, and this year there was some work being done for the water main as well. Was that the same work,
No.
Christian? It was different?
Yeah, the one we did, the 2022, replaced the main because we turned the water off at the water shut off, turned it back on, and something popped first week we moved in. So we had to replace the whole line all the way up. So, but we knew we would have to do that at some point, but not the first week. Went a week without water there.
Got it.
So,
Sweet.
welcome to the neighborhood.
So we visited the site in late September. We had Larry Culbertson from the Historical Society with us there. We had city staff, our historic preservation consultant, GPA, and property owners here, Christian Walk. And the purpose of that site visit was to walk the property and identify areas that needed to be improved. Overall, that property is in very good condition. We were impressed with that, Christian, so thank you for all the work, or maintaining, right? I think the previous owners helped with that. But it wasn't that difficult for or actually it was difficult challenging for the consultant to come up with a list, since, again, the property is in good condition. So we did come up with 15 improvements that are, I think, in attachment number 4. And I do have some pictures here that if you wish to review each one after the presentation, we can. Overall, Christian is in agreement with these items. I think you have some questions that you can raise shortly, Christian. But the estimated annual tax savings that we did receive from the tax assessors is $26,000 for the year.
So your
Sounds awfully high.
tax bill's 52 a year?
The tax bill, it would be about $32,000 based off the purchase price per year, and so the county has said that it's going to be about $6,300 or so. I have it in here.
Savings.
It's going to be about under the Mills Act $6,300 a year.
So
This says
That's what
savings.
his
That's the
property tax.
savings.
Oh, that's a
would be.
savings.
That's
That's a savings. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go back to that sheet.
yeah, I have it here.
Yeah, so without the Mills Act, he's looking at a regular tax of $32,500.
Yeah.
With the Mills Act, it's $6,312.
So it's about 70%,
Yeah,
which is the maximum, I think, right, allowed?
I'm not sure how they do it, but they base
Yes.
it off the rents in the area too. And I did a rent analysis and figured that was kind of right in line with what I thought it would be. But I don't know how to do the calculation myself. But I just gave them all the information and said, you guys, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So what we're here for today is to collect feedback from the subcommittee. What we can do today is go over the list and rearrange it. We find it necessary, potentially remove items, add some items before we go ahead and take it to City Council for review and approval. And then the next step for staff would be to record the contract before the end of the year. And that concludes my presentation. Do you have something to add, Christian?
yeah, I just wanted to say one thing, if that's okay. So this is a pretty prominent historic property in Southwest. It's like one of the original model homes for the area. And so it was designed by Carl Lindbaum, who's the same architect who did the Casa Romantica and the Western White House. And those were some of the first buildings that were actually designed and built in the area. I brought this, it was in Architectural Digest in 29 in the magazine, and then this is from a previous homeowner where it just kind of stood alone by itself there.
Where did you get this? Is in the
This is this is available online. It's able to be found from Architectural Digest if you search the architect and like the actual address.
Mm-hmm.
It has a date on there, which is cool. And then this is from a previous owner who, it's funny, I posted on Instagram that I bought this house and she was like, hey Christian, I went through all these old photos and I'm pretty sure my husband's great-grandfather or grandfather was the owner. and his name was Crowell, and he was friends with J.P. Morgan from J.P. Morgan Chase, and they used to come out here, and they were like yacht buddies from the East Coast. So somehow I don't.
It's
And there's
kind of
a lot more
bus or
photos.
something on the
I think
front
That's
there.
their
that's always
travel
tour bus for showing people property.
Oh,
I
how
think
did you know that?
I think that
He
this
got-
bus.
Is he old enough? He used to
He
do
was
that.
here.
Oh, no.
He was here on his honeymoon.
Yeah.
And they went on a tour.
That was a joke.
I think that
was a
this
joke.
was their travel RV from the East Coast that they drive out here, and that's what the lady said.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
yeah, they drive from the East Coast and that, so kind of cool. But it is a pretty significant structure, I think. Like, it's one that could be like one of the ones, but it's not on that list, like for the National Registry, right, Larry? There's like another echelon, like the Paul Williams home up on the hill is one, and Casa Romantica and Western Lighthouse, but it's not on that list, but it could maybe well be.
What's the square footage of the house?
It's like 2,200 square feet, and it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom. So it's really like 2 suites upstairs, and then downstairs it's like a little. They say it's a bedroom, but it's kind of just a small room, and then there's a little powder bath in that room. So it's kind of a unique floor plan. Not really a conventional or practical house to live in, but we like it.
So you guys are gonna live there?
We do live
You
there.
do
now.
live there, okay.
We do live there now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice property. Anything else, or is that?
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions about it, I can answer anything about it, but it's.
If you guys want to skim through it, we can through each improvement.
Maybe just skim through the
Yeah, okay.
photos we would.
Yeah.
But it's a nice approach there. You know, it's far off the street. So you
Yeah,
have that nice
it's
kind of
really good.
transition
Yeah.
going up the steps.
It's kind of terraced up. The lot, I think, kind of went up like this, you know, like when they built it, and then the land in the back went down toward the beach. So, like, even the perimeter walls are built like kind of like going down with the hill, you know, like it's not in the back of the house, you know. It's funny how they follow the terrain. They didn't build it level, they built it with the slope, kind of.
Yeah.
It's interesting,
Which
but
is nice.
yeah.
So what we'll see on the list is that we prioritize, with the help of GPA, items that are
I noticed
related
some
to structural.
dates. Are those dates part of the guidelines? Because some of them are like way out there, 2028 or 20.
No, and
It's
this
a-
one, that's 2026.
It's a 10-year contract,
Okay.
Typically,
and then it
it's a
continues
10-year.
growing every year.
Yeah, so 10 years, usually they put, like, from my past experience, I've owned several of these now, and so, but from a past agreement, they did, like, the more expensive and challenging projects, like, later, but this house, I don't think that there's a lot of, like, super challenging things to do on this one. Like let's say they wanted to put wood garage doors, that can be kind of expensive, or something like that, that's a bigger ticket item, then they would put that, like, toward the middle or end. From my past experience with Chiampa, our last agreement that we did on a different property, but this one is like in pretty dang good shape overall. It's all achievable. So that's already been fixed, by the way.
Yeah, so this one's, you already fixed that? Oh,
Yeah,
you can scratch
I've
that
already
off.
done a lot of some of it, but
There's this improvement to create and submit a landscape hardscape plan.
let's start at the first one.
Wanna
Let's
start?
start,
Yeah.
let's start at number 1 and kind of go through it. So, and I'll let you take the lead here on it.
Yeah. Oh, so like I was mentioning, so GPA recommends focusing on structural items first, obviously, because we want that to be sound, and then focus on the more aesthetic facade improvements towards the end of the 10-year term. Did you want to say something there?
Yeah, on this one, basically, I think what they're saying is to like strap and bolt the foundation, which for seismic purposes is a good idea, and I actually have already looked into it, and I want to do that. We plan to do that anyway. It's something we would do. So, but I don't know that I'll have it done like by 2023. That's what I'm gonna hope for and go for. That I'd rather it be solid. This house is built on a footing that's like this wide, by the way, and it's about as tall as the table here. It's super thick walls underneath this house. got an extremely rare foundation for a historic holy hints, and that's what I really liked about it, because I've seen the good, bad, and ugly on the foundations of these, but this one has a huge footing, but I think it does need to be bolted and strapped, so that's something that we do plan to do. So I think it's a totally valid, fair thing to do to the house, but someone's got to crawl under there and figure out and drill, like they're pretty big anchor bolts that go into the sill, like on top of the actual the cripple wall to the footing. So we do plan to do that.
But you have access, or there's access.
There is, yeah. We've already crawled all under there.
Thank you. So the second one is to submit a termite report and take recommended actions. This is an item that, Larry, you helped with this. I think you voiced your concern about some contracts in the past not having this to city council. Yeah, so I think we started doing this probably 3 years ago to every Millsack contract.
This is super important for Millsack contracts, in my opinion. I think that termites are the biggest detriment to the buildings, and you can't see them behind the walls a lot of times, and it's almost more important than the home inspection, in my opinion. But we've already fumigated this house. That was the first thing we did, like day one, and moved into it the first day we could after the tent came off. But we already fumigated it. We fixed like 100 roof tiles. There were already 70 broken, and the termite company broke 30. It's not the original roof, but it's very like for like. I wish it had still had the original roof, but it had been redone at some point along the way. So we replaced all the roof tiles. That's actually pretty expensive to do 70 roof tiles. You'd be surprised. And then fumigated it, and we did a lot of the wood repairs that are on the report, but not all of them. Some of them, they wanted to take like important pieces of wood off of the house, like a fascia board that runs the whole length in the courtyard, and I stopped them from doing that. I didn't want them to, because termite companies can take it too far. You know, like, oh, it's rotted on the 1 foot of the board and the whole thing needs to go because of it. So I think there's some kind of nuance there to not taking it too far on that type of project and maintaining historic elements that can be, the cancer scraped out and patched and sanded and repaired. So some of it hasn't been done, some has. There's like a mechanical, I'll show you in one of the photos, but there's a mechanical shed on the side of the house that was added on to this property. It's one of the only add-ons to this house, but it's pretty small, and it has the water heater and the heater in it, and that thing's pretty torched with termites, because usually the newer wood, like pines and such, will get termites in them, and that one's built out of, I think, all pine. And so on the termite report, it talks about that being all eaten up and needs repair, but we decided not to fix that because I want to, as part of a long-term plan, remove that altogether and do like a tankless hidden away somewhere, and then do the heater either under the house or inside in a closet or somewhere out of, not where it is currently. Because it's not an original feature of the house, and it's pretty dilapidated. That's like one of the only dilapidated things about the structure. It's actually in this photo. I'll show you. Just to point it out, it's easier. This whole little box, this little shed right here, was added on at some point, and the heater or water heater's in here, and then the heater's in there. So you can see the top of it there, the vents. This whole thing.
Is that the view from the front?
That's on if you're looking at the front of the house, that's on the right side behind the garage. So the garage is.
So that's shot from the back.
It's kind of just like right here behind this garage. So the garage, there's a 1-car garage, and then there's a little shed behind where the laundry room is, and then that's that side of the house. My ultimate plan, long term, is to make this what I want to do, but I will, it's a dream. But make this a driveway back to another little guest house in the back, and have it be like a pull through from the front garage through here to the back, because it's a huge, deep lot. But so I want to plan things accordingly, and do things obviously that the city approves and that's Mills Act approved, but things to improve it. That was a big kind of thing about this property, is not much garage space. It's a 1-car garage, so obviously not doing anything to the front of the house, but having the garage be a pull through, like a portico shade to another little structure, single level in the back with a garage, and guest house at the back. It's a 10,500 square foot lot, so it's like a really deep, long, narrow lot.
I'm gonna get it on here. So this one's related to drainage. We want them to look into that. This cross space cover, Christian, you already covered it.
Yeah.
I mentioned this one. We are asking that they submit a landscape and hardscape plan by 2024, and also to investigate if there's any damage from trees or potential damage from trees to the foundation.
This is flat work that we're looking at here.
Yeah, that's that same side of the house. That's like right in front. If you go back, David, to that's see it right by that little green door. That's looking right at the concrete right there. And one of the only drains is right there next to that door on the ground. See that little metal rack that drained right near the laundry room. And so we want to plan to make actually really good drainage around the whole perimeter of the house, not just right there. So we're planning to do like a big drainage that all ties in and it all goes down to the street.
Number 6, this is related to the retaining walls at the front. You may have some comments on that, Christian, but we went out there, we noticed some cracks, and GPA thought it'd be good to investigate and make recommended changes as well. Did you have something to add there, Christian? I know you have something.
Yeah, so originally, or not originally, but after around this time period, they planted these big palm trees, and there used to be one in the corner there that was pushing the wall forward. So the wall has started to lean a little bit, and it caused a crack kind of midway up the wall. So the wall is leaning a little bit like this, and it's noticeable, but I don't know that it's unsafe or going to fall over. It's just the pressure of that old palm tree pushed it forward, and I have a photo of the house with the palm tree, and it's not there anymore. But the other palm tree hasn't applied as much pressure, but this is basically saying, and this is an original wall that was added up onto, you can see it in the photos here, they actually added onto it, and you can see, and I just looked at it so closely that I know, there's a line right here where the original wall was. It was smaller, lower, and then they added these on. And these people added it, I believe, while they owned it, because there's photos of it before and then after while they owned it. But there used to be a big palm tree right here that pushed the wall forward. So anyway, I would prefer not to take out the original wall and leave it and let it be leaning a little bit and just stucco the crack and repair it and kind of watch it. If it's going to fall over, then I'll replace it, but I prefer not to engineer the wall of China out there that's going to be new and it's not going to be original to.
This is not cast in place. This is a block wall, as far as you know.
I don't know what it is, honestly. So in here you could see the lower wall, and then when they had the travel trailer there, you could see it was already built up.
Yeah, it might be block. Might be unreinforced too from those days.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They did add to it though.
How tall is that wall?
It's like this tall.
4 feet? Yeah. Under 4 feet, probably.
Yeah, it's like right about here. I'm not sure exactly how tall it is, but.
So moving on, to the next one is related to maintenance of the light fixtures. These are in the interior courtyard, right? They're not visible from the outside.
Yeah, these are in the courtyard.
Is this improvement to improve the Dutch door that we see there?
I like it.
Yeah.
Is it a door or a gate?
So it's a Dutch door, like a little gate to the laundry shed right there. So that door is really old and it just cosmetically isn't perfect, but this one I kind of was like, well, it's kind of leaving it the way it is better, but I don't know. I think it's one of those ones that just leave alone.
Is the door structurally sound? Is it just a cosmetic?
Yeah, it's kind of just at the bottom of it, just cosmetically worn. I honestly don't think you even mess with that, but.
Well, it's been painted multiple times anyway, right? I think it just said repair it as needed anyway.
Correct, yeah. where
Yeah, it says to like sand it down and gently scrape remaining paint, sand, repair where deterioration necessitates replacement. Yeah, so totally fair.
Just looking for
Totally
items to put on the list.
Yeah, there's
The next one was to repair some tile in the courtyard. You see some cracks there. Maintenance of wrought iron features throughout the site.
yeah, so there's those original. They look like bars, like these black bars. That
Are
hold
those
up.
potholders part of the wrought iron?
Yeah, and they're original too. So we've already painted all those like black with oil, like the high sheen black oil paint. Those are all restored.
So starting with number 10, these are items that are listed as ongoing with regards to the completion date. So exterior stucco, again, is in good condition. So it's just maintenance of the original wood windows in very good condition.
Those are original?
Honestly, I think they are. I
can't believe
didn't
they're
think
still in
so.
good condition. That's what I
We looked at them closely. I mean, single pane, true divided light.
I didn't think that they were at first, but after living there and looking at them closer for a while, I think that they are. And looking at the old photos, and I look at the photos a lot, and like I like to kind of like examine stuff. I'm just weird like that, but I honestly think that they are. And the hinges, the actual hardware that they open with, I think are the giveaway that they are original. And they're in really good shape. The reason, if you go back real quick, I just want to touch on this. The reason they're in such good shape, see how thick the walls are? They're like recessed way back out of the weather, so they're not getting water on them as much as a normal window would. So that's why they're in good shape. And they have screens.
Maintenance of the roof. Again, that the roof is in good condition.
It's a nice looking roof too. I mean, they did a pretty good job.
They did a good job to make it look period correct for sure, like the way that the concrete was done, and it looks original, but I don't think that they're the original tiles.
This one, maintenance of landscaping to prevent overgrowth and attachment of vines onto the building. We mainly see that at the rear, right, Christian? This is a view from the rear yard.
And we want to keep this. This is a big vine bougainvillea that we want to keep trimmed back anyway, so it doesn't grow under the roof or anything.
Ongoing, inspections for termites, and that is it. 15.
So really the biggest ticket item of all of this is the drainage for the whole property. And it's going to be expensive to do that. So seriously, doing that project and doing it right is like, it's around the whole perimeter of all three sides on the back and the sides. But over time, like that's part of the whole plan of the landscaping plan and hardscaping plan of how I want to create more drainage and get it all out to a curb cut in the street. So to get it down there is not, I mean, that's fine, they can dig it, but it's connecting the whole system around the back of the property and collecting it into the same line and getting it out there. That is more challenging than it seems, but
Yeah,
all the other
we got
stuff.
some grading as well as paving and drainage. So.
And then trying to maintain the old stuff too, like incorporate, like see the old concrete here, how it starts new at one point there. Like I'd like to keep as much of that old pathway that's narrow and it's old concrete, keep that intact while adding drainage next to it where it drains and it gets off the foundation of the house.
All right.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Any comments?
Oh, Larry.
Anything?
I've had the pleasure of visiting the property several times and also seeing Mr. Walketta's property, and I have no doubt he's going to do an amazing job here. He's willing to spend the money and do the job the right way. So,
He's a self-described historical house nerd, so we expect it.
I am this is the third one that I've owned, so we're working on the other one right now. that
Yeah, no, I
came here
remember you
before.
from the last one.
That's where we were gonna move and live, and then this place came up for sale, and it's kind of a once in a lifetime spot. So
comment about the National Register. I hadn't really thought a lot about that, but I think that this one would very well qualify because the original owner was one of Ole's top salespeople and was on the display houses in Kamala.
And it's a known architect, so.
The architect is the big ticket item, that Carl Lindbaum, and then it was Hugo Carlson, so I'm sure Ole Hansen even spent a lot of time here. It was like their sales office. It's almost like Sea Summit. They have the model homes and people come in to the living room and they buy a new house, but then eventually they converted it back to the living room. So I think that this was kind of like the house where they bring people to sell them other ones.
So would you be willing to put that as part of the list? You get it on the national register?
I mean, we can try. I don't know what that means really for us, but
Well, you have to find out if it
Lot of
costs you
paperwork.
money.
yeah,
Paperwork.
yeah,
Is it mostly paperwork?
And it is to your benefit,
yeah.
Has a lot of
Yeah.
value.
and the city's for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be stoked on it. People love it. It's crazy. This property was such like it was so cool to share it with the city. Like it's a long story, but I was the listing agent on this property and bought it from the owners. And so it sounds like a conflict of interest, but it did work out well where they were pretty happy. And so, we're super stoked to have it. And so we got to share it with the whole community. And I do a lot of open houses, and this is like the busiest open house I've ever done where like the whole community came out to see it, and that's what they wanted to do with it, was to share it with everybody. And so it's a place that we want to continue to do that with this house, because it's fun to share it.
Congratulations. Any comments?
Actually, I got a comment for David.
Mhm.
I like this format.
Oh, okay. Yeah, really
That-
nice.
Stick with this format. It's very easy to follow and clean, and
Okay.
the main goal at the onset of any of these things is to stop any continuing deterioration.
Yeah.
So always keep that in mind when you first review these, that the first couple, 3 years should be to halt it from deteriorating anymore, because we've got some that are
Pretty bad shape.
definitely in need of help.
For sure. The
This isn't one of them,
termite's a big one. No, seriously, that is a big one for these. This has real quick, this shows the palm tree in the front that I'm talking about for the wall, where there was a palm tree before.
Mhm.
That's not there anymore. And that's what was putting pressure on this wall a little bit. And the crack is right here. So I think we should stucco the crack there and just repair it and maintain it and watch it, but rather than rebuild the wall. But that's what I
So
would prefer.
there's not as much landscape shown on that photo as what you show here,
Yeah, there's more
So,
landscaping now.
which this looks better, I think. Was this the one that had a requirement for a landscape plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hardscape.
Landscape and
Yeah.
drainage.
Okay.
To that note, the hardscape and landscaping plan, that's one that, so some of this says that they want us to do this right away. So, and that's fine. I want to do it right away too, but I don't want to rush anything just to meet the deadline. Like I kind of want to like make sure that everything we do is just like really thought out, you know? So I think this is 2024. That's probably fine and achievable, but there was one before this. I think it was just the drainage. This one should be packaged as part of the, I think I was thinking that they should be in the same
That's
hardscape landscape plan so that it's all done at the same time. Because we do want to do it right. We do want to think it out.
So that's a request, Christian?
Yeah.
Do we have the authority to change those dates?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. The other thing to remember is these dates can be negotiated even after the
They can.
contract.
It'd be preferable to have these dates dialed in before, because
Yeah.
this requires council action, and while certain modifications can be made to contracts administratively, some of them would require going back to city council. And that's an expenditure of staff time that's not budgeted in this.
Are you good with everything else on the list? You mentioned the gate
I'm fine with all
or
of
the
it.
Dutch door or whatever. That's
Everything else is easy. It's just more that this one, the drainage I'm thinking about just this, that's basically this within the year. And so we want that to be part of the plan, of the landscaping and hardscaping plan, that's to be executed by, a little bit later date. Because we're thinking like a bigger ticket remodel and really dialing it in and adding like the right drainage to the entire exterior, not just like couple drains here and there.
Is that all administratively reviewed? The landscape plans and everything?
Yeah, all of that
Correct,
would be, there may be, there would be specialists or consultants involved in some of it, but the review of compliance is a staff level determination.
I'm good with everything on the list. Are you
I'm
looking
good
for
with
a
everything
change
on
of
the list
date?
because
Yeah,
the dates, as long as they're showing good faith and in progress, I've never seen one be a problem.
yeah. I think that the drainage should be packaged with this
So you're saying number
landscape.
3.
Yeah, 3 and 5 should be combined for
And just change it to 24?
24, yeah, or 25, because then it's like you're coming up with the plan and then you have to execute the plan by a certain date. And it's,
Well, that's the end of 24, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
gives you a couple of years at least.
yeah, that's fine, yeah. So they should be kind of in the same thing because it's like part of a greater plan that gets permitted and
Yeah, that should be incorporated into it.
yeah,
I don't think we have a problem with that.
Alright.
You want to change that?
I took note of that.
Cameron?
that was really the only thing.
Pretty straightforward.
All right.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think,
Thank
good
you,
to
Christian.
see you got a hold of this one. And
I didn't.
we know you're
do
going
not
to do a good
disturb
job
work.
on it.
We're stoked about it, seriously. It's been fun. My wife loves it too, so that's important. She was going to be here today, but she had to kind of hold the fort down, but she's
We'll bring her next time. I'd like to meet her.
for sure. Oh well, I know she should have come.
Okay?
Yeah,
I'll give you a call after.
cool. All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, for sure. Stoked to do it.
All right?
You guys are ever in the neighborhood and the door's open, come play some darts.
I think that's the first
Hey,
offer
wait,
we've got.
where's
like
the
that.
dartboard?
It's right in the entry. It's
All right.
right there.
We're not damaging stucco.
Yeah, they got to repair the walls.
Yeah, we'll throw darts at that
Storage
dartboard.
That's
Put it on the
item
desk.
14 now.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, you guys,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. See you guys. Bye. Have a good day.
Okay, so now we're on to item A,
Yes.
which is similar, HPPA 22, I already mentioned it, 22-297. And Mr. Carrillo, you have a presentation on this one?
Yeah, I'll briefly go over it. So this is 212 Avenida Rosa, built a year after the last one we just saw in 1928. For this one, Virgil Westbrook was the architect, designing the Spanish Colonial Revival style of architecture. It was first constructed as a single-family home, and then that same year, later, it was converted into a duplex. Permanent history, there are more items on this one, but the most notable one is the 2013 first and second story additions that were done. So just like the previous one, we did visit the site on that same date. We had, again, Larry, GPA, city staff. We walked the site and we came up with 3 more improvements than the last one. So for a total of 18. Tax savings for this one are less than the previous one. So we're looking at $5,400 for annual tax savings. There was one request from the property owner. She agrees with all the items, but she did ask that we add some language to item number 8, which says that the work to be completed be from an inspection and a recommendation from that inspection. Right now, the way when she read this, she was a little concerned that she must do the re-roof without any investigation or exploring. So staff supports that. That it's similar to other items where we say per recommendations complete any work. So that was the only request. And again, we're looking to take this to council next and record this before the end of the year. And that's all I have.
Has GPA had a chance to review their request for modification?
No, not yet. You can send that to them.
Yeah, prior to going to planning commission, I'd like to know
I'll take council.
why
Okay.
they didn't use
That language.
language similar to what they would have said regarding a partial repair, because that is absolutely requiring a full re-roofing.
Right. Okay. Will do.
Larry, you got anything on this one?
I was a little dismayed, you know, I'm supportive of this project, I was a little dismayed that there was a major remodel of this project. You were in about 8 years ago, something like that. They completely rebuilt the garage,
In 13?
interconnected to the hospital, to the house. It was a huge project, and I'm surprised that there's so many things on here that didn't get done at that time. Somehow it was not required for the Mills Act, so they didn't do it. It just seems like at that point in time, the city should have nudged them to get those things done. But we're delighted to see they're getting done now.
So you're saying there was already a Mills Act agreement on this property?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, there wasn't? Okay, so did the city have any leverage to,
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, okay.
It was all part of the original remodel approval.
It's just
Yeah,
surprising that they did all that and they didn't do like that paint, you know.
Yeah, the remodel would have required discretionary approval. Discretionary approval opens up the entire property to review, and at that time for historic properties, we would typically expect
It's not that long ago.
maintenance and issues, yeah, to be addressed. And yes, it was. We're talking 9 years ago.
So Larry, you feel like that, well, it was obviously approved, the addition, so just looking at it, it seems, fairly seamless. I mean, it doesn't look like it,
That was the determination at the time.
yeah.
They're dedicated owners, I'm sure they're gonna do a great job.
Yeah.
David will keep tabs on them, it'll be good.
We just need to keep tabs on it, absolutely.
Yeah.
How is that done?
So we've got, in a number of ways, we've got a historic preservation program in Planning Division, where we've got staff that checks in on these properties over the years. And then one of the things that was never really contemplated previously was inspection fees required during the course of the Mills Act. Those are now, I think it's been 2 years that we've been including an inspection fee for every 5 years that a property is utilizing the Mills Act.
And that's consistent with state requirements. The state requires that every 5 years, city go out and confirm that they are in compliance. And then when they come in, so this is not approving any work yet. It's not giving them a permit, right? It's just contractual. So when they come in and submit a staff waiver or an MCHP, that's staff's time to make sure it's done.
Yeah,
Adam,
yes.
it would be nice if we could get that annual report like we used to get to the city council on the state of the Mills Act. These 80, these 90, this is where we are. We've done X number of inspections.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely something that we need to do. I know that there have been a few Mills Act properties that have not been in compliance. That's generally due to two reasons. One, an unapproved change is made to the property, like painting it burnt umber, or they're not doing the things that are required by the Mills Act, whether that be addressing a deficiency or replacing a character-defining feature, or simply maintaining the property. In a lot of these, we since we haven't been doing a full inspection of the properties every 5 years, sometimes we're not notified about we don't know that there's non-compliance until we get a complaint about something. It's usually related to a dilapidated situation, or if there's like a change of use on the property, and we at that time will inspect it. The city is spending a lot of money in a tax expenditure form to provide this incentive for property owners, and the penalty for noncompliance is incredibly steep.
Oh, it is.
It's 12, like, not, if we get to the point where we have to revoke a Mills Act contract, our attorneys are gonna be going after 12.5% of the value of the property.
Wow.
And so,
That's
like,
in the contract.
for the last, and it's in every contract.
Pretty good
It's
incentive.
pursuant to state law. And
Hey,
so,
I
like,
like something like
Christians,
that though, I don't know.
yeah, so like, Christian's property, that's probably 200, I don't know how much you paid for it, but it's, saying what I think the property sold for, that's probably a fine of $200,000. And that would wash away, the initial tax savings for at least the first 7 years. So the city is invested in maintaining compliance with these contracts due to the last few years of having various staff work on our historic preservation program. We're still in the process of kind of revising and formatting our documents and how we keep records, and so providing those types of reports is something that's on our radar. And I'll just say at this point, we've got a new senior planner that's going to be overseeing current planning starting next Tuesday. In the 14 months that I've been in charge of the planning division, this is, this will be the fourth senior planner that we've had, and if this person stays for more than 3 weeks, it'll be like the second time that we've had 2 senior planners in planning for more than a month. When that person gets up and running, Sarah, our advanced planning senior planner, historic preservation is part of our advanced planning functions, and so that will all get finalized and dealt with at that time.
This, not pertaining to this project, something that used to be done, and I think you went on a few times, that Petchus and Holloway hosted a tour of the city in a city van to drive through the whole city and see important projects, the historic houses, hosted by the city planner. And if that could continue or get restarted anyway. We have the luxury of knowing about this stuff, and it doesn't go to the whole commission. This will jump straight.
Yeah, that's true.
So they don't understand the importance of it. And in another year, it could be different members on the design review subcommittee. So it introduces everybody to the whole realm of what the city's doing and how important it is. Yada, yada, yada.
Can you take a note?
Noted.
Add that to a future study session opportunity, and then we can talk about potential tours and things of that nature. And if Christian's opening his house to the neighborhood, maybe we find a little stop, a little dart action. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, do we have any other comments on this?
I'm in support of it, and I, once again, gave a good format for presenting
Keep it
this.
going. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't recognize that you had changed it. When did you change the format?
Oh, this was this year. So it's every year we. Yeah.
Okay, it's because I wasn't here last year.
Yeah.
Cameron, you're good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, David.
You have a PowerPoint?
No. I don't have anything fun to show. I'm doing ordinance update. See, current planning always gets
There
the
you go.
luxury of architecture and beautiful pictures.
Thank you, David.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, so Sarah will present this item. I did want to just give a brief background on what we're doing here. The previous time that this was reviewed was at the last design review subcommittee, where Commissioner McCann and Commissioner Crandall were in attendance. There were a number of comments there. You can review the minutes from that, but we're gonna just kind of go over everything again. I just want to set up a few facts before we begin here. The first is that this is an amendment of an existing ordinance that is on our books related to a state law that was signed by the governor last year, to allow lot splits and 2-unit projects on single-family zoned properties. What we've tried to do in this version is provide the red lines showing what's changing from what's already on the books. And so we're going to be more than happy to field any and all questions for this. Keep in mind, this will be coming to the Planning Commission tentatively November 16th, then going to council for adoption once a recommendation is forwarded from the Planning Commission. At this stage, what we're doing is two things. The first is we're adopting this ordinance through the regular process. It was adopted as an urgency ordinance because in order for us to have a future authority to regulate SB 9 projects, we need to have an ordinance adopted by January 1st. And the second thing is we're, aside from some minor cleanups, the bulk of what Sarah's going to talk about is related to the architectural standards that we want to apply to these projects, with the goal being to comply with state law number 1, meaning all the standards need to be objective. There is no discretion in SB 9, and which is a huge sea change from how you had to divide property previously. In order to split a lot in the past, you went to city council. It took months, if not years. This is now requiring that process be done ministerially for specific projects. But then the second one is trying to maintain the policies of the general plan, which call for preservation of existing neighborhoods, and that future development enhance the character of existing neighborhoods. This is an ordinance that essentially, while it's based on state law, isn't doing that. It's allowing density increases in areas where the density has been identified by the city of San Clemente to be much lower than what the state of California would like to see it as. So that's kind of some of the background just to start off the conversation.
Yeah,
And from that, I will let Sarah go.
Perfect, thank you. So from our last previous meeting, as Adam stated, what I included as Exhibit A is basically all the changes, because the last time I did it, it was a little bit confusing of what is being changed. So, and Commissioner Cosgrove, if you weren't here for the last meeting and you had provided some comments, I didn't know if you wanted to go through your comments first, or would you like, we can just dive right into the changes.
Whatever you want to do.
It's up to you. A lot of the stuff that you had asked for, it's actually already as part of our urgency ordinance.
Okay.
Like for a minimal lot size. Let's see.
Let me just ask you real quick.
Yeah.
It might be easier just to go
To go through the ordinance?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to give him
Well,
a
we spent, I don't
But
know,
I'll let.
we spent like two
yeah,
and a half hours
Yeah.
going through it in detail.
Yes.
Not last time, but I guess the previous
Yeah,
time, because I
correct.
was here for that.
Yeah.
And I think it looks like you've incorporated a lot of
Mm-hmm.
comments. It was kind of a brainstorming session, plus
Yeah.
going through, there were typos. I mean, we went
I'm sure
through
you
in
did a great
detail.
job. Yeah, I
So
wasn't.
I'm not saying we did a great
on
job, but I'm
here.
saying we did a job. Of some sort.
Something was done.
No, it was a
Yeah.
good job because it allowed me to make the modifications. I would like to add a caveat that I'm still kind of in parallel working with our city attorney because some of the language that we added is not objective enough. And per state law, we can't kind of leave it at,
Yeah, when you made that
Wishy-washy.
comment just now,
yeah.
I realized that there were some things that were pretty subjective that we threw at it
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
that day.
With that said, there is subjectivity required by the state law,
Mhm.
and that is that if a project cannot be constructed to allow for 2 800 square foot units, then they can encroach into certain setbacks. And that's going to be a determination. So the city's going to have to say, oh, no, we believe that you can meet the setbacks, and here's how. Or we're just going to say, no, we'll take your word for it. And this is the only way it can be done, and therefore, but that's a subjective determination. So we were trying to kind of mirror that state language for things that were similar, but not setback related and not specified in state law. And then forgot one other thing, just to reiterate.
Yeah.
The other interesting aspect about this ordinance is that it covers two separate titles of the code. One is Title 16, which is our subdivision, essentially our Subdivision Map Act section of the code, which talks about how to divide property. And then the other one is Title 17, or zoning ordinance. The regulations contained in both are very similar. In fact, they are repetitive. And the reason for that is because when when a project comes through and they want to utilize SB 9 to provide for development, if they can do one of two things, or kind of a hybrid. They can either subdivide a piece of property, or they can build 2-unit projects. So if they want to just subdivide a piece of property without building units, they can do that. They would only use Title 16 to do that. However, part of that process of developing a tentative map is that you have to show that the resulting lots are developable, that they're buildable. And so the way that that's done is by showing the outline of structures where you propose to build them, the topography showing that it's not going to require a 12% inclined driveway, things of that nature. And so the architectural standards are included in that section to help inform the tentative map development process. However, if somebody wants to build the actual units, then they need to refer to Title 17, which contains the same architectural objective standards that we're talking about here today, because that's where they would actually be applied during the building plan check process.
Okay.
So, with that said, if there's comments and we're bouncing around between the two, we'll reflect whatever changes the committee would like to see in its corresponding area of the other title.
Okay, so to explain then what we were looking at here, because there is a redundancy.
Right.
Yes.
We started, I guess, at the end of this section is the urgency ordinance,
Correct.
the way it's already on the books, as you
Right.
say. And then there was a section before that is changes that were made before our last session, and then the stuff in the front includes everything we talked about. Is that
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, Exhibit A is everything that we talked about, and I tried to incorporate it as much as I can.
okay?
So when this is done, does the emergency ordinance then disappear?
Yeah, we would be repealing that ordinance. However,
So if there's things in the ordinance that I didn't see addressed in this one,
that previous ordinance, so when we go back when the city council adopts something, we're going to essentially say Title 16 such and such, and Title 17 are hereby amended to read in their entirety Attachment 1. So there won't be nothing left from the original ordinance, even though a lot of the language may remain the same. And so the track changes that are in front of you that's showing what has changed from the urgency ordinance.
Based on our meeting from last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we go to the planning commission, it'll be a full, clean ordinance,
This is
laid
it.
out. Yeah.
Okay. And the red, you've got both red, and you've also got underlined.
Yeah, the red underline is basically all the changes that I incorporated. So let's kind of go through chapter 16. This is in regards to the subbot division. I had added a definition for what is a primary dwelling. Since this went to print to the DRSC, the discussion with our city attorney basically saying primary dwelling speaks for itself. We don't need to define it. So this will be X'd out. Just for reference, and then only urban lot split is what will remain as a definition.
So item 2 is out.
Correct.
Okay.
For application,
Hold on for
oh,
a
I'm
sec.
sorry. Yes.
So this is where I had a comment.
Yeah.
Do we want to say ADUs and JADUs are part of this?
So the way we already have a definition of ADU and JADU per the state law, they can build. It doesn't matter. They can build 2 primary on the new lots. They can build a junior ADU and ADU as long as they don't exceed 2 units.
Okay, as long as that's
Yeah.
clear, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of SB9, and all my comments are made to make it hard to split the lot, not easy.
And the state's anticipated that.
Okay.
And a lot of your
And they've
comments,
slapped our hand
We
already.
we have to be very delicate because a lot of the times we can impose certain things, but we kind of have to peter on that line of like, is this okay? Because we don't want to, codify anything where, we just got our housing element adopted. We don't want to have anything to jeopardize that. So,
Yeah, and we'll have, all of the things that we're doing in excess of state law. There needs to be a nexus between the proposal and a compelling governmental interest. So our recitals in the resolution that gets presented to the Planning Commission will include the reasons why some of these things are necessary, and it'll relate to our general plan. Might be the topography of the city, things of that nature. Nuisance abatement, cutting down on complaints and things of that nature. But as far as the primary dwelling goes, since state law allows up to 2 primary dwellings, if they want to do a primary dwelling and an ADU, the primary dwellings are limited to 800 square feet. So the ADU would resemble what state law is looking at as a primary dwelling, but they can have 2 primary dwellings. There's nothing more intensive that would result by having an ADU as one of them.
Okay. The second item is just for application fee. We just wanted to reiterate that we adopted a fee to process urban lot split through ministerial approval. For item D for approval, Commissioner McCann had mentioned that he had a concern about the 3 months processing with the county and us, and so we updated that to include basically 2 years. Once the city approves it, a property owner has 2 years until they can get everything done.
Now, so from our urgency ordinance, we no longer have the ownership comments?
No, we do. It'll
just didn't
be
put it on
included.
she only put 2 and 3 on here, looks like.
Yeah, I only included what I was modifying.
Okay, so you only modified 3. Okay,
Correct.
so
Yes,
perfect,
everything will
perfect.
stay.
No,
Okay.
that's great.
Perfect.
That's great. No, I got you.
Okay, great.
I just want to make sure.
So
Yeah.
are there any bases that we can deny? Any? Like I'm just like throwing pots at the wall.
Yeah.
But can we say, if you can't do on-street parking, if you can't park it, then you can't do it? Can we do anything related to parking?
Related to parking is going to be very, very slim because the state allows exemptions to not require any parking at all for certain situations. If there is parking that is required, they're going to have to provide it on site. So that would be, as long as they can comply
That's
with
baked
that.
in.
Yeah,
What
that's
about-
baked in.
Okay.
So for the urban, just to add one more to that. So for Title 16, when they're lot splitting, the way that we set up the process is that they still have to abide by the MAP Act. They still have to go through everything that we will require, Public Works will require.
Okay.
And then if Public Works, we kind of baked it in. If Public Works requires additional analysis of maybe soil or anything that kind of
Connecting
shows.
to public utilities,
Yeah,
all that's
that
included.
that shows
Okay,
that.
I just want to
the
make
property-
sure there's no crazy stuff that people could decide to do
Right.
because their lot's weird and they're like, well, I'll just put a septic tank in the back because I can't reach the street. I just want to make sure we're covered.
Right.
So, like, what about historic structures? Can we
They're
say?
not permitted. They're not allowed. It's part of the,
So that's
the
part of the
ordinance.
state law.
Yeah, it's part of our urgency ordinance.
So we don't need to worry about that. That's all covered.
No,
Right,
yeah, so
on-
the urgency ordinance covers a number of things, locations where that you
It's on-
cannot
But
do
you know
it.
what?
It's
I
on
guess I
page-
didn't compare and contrast this
With the
urgency ordinance. That's why my stuff
yeah, historic is
duplicative.
protected.
And
Historic
that's-
is protected.
Coastal canyons are.
Coastal canyon, anything
Okay.
habitat related.
High fire
High
severity.
fire.
That's in there. Okay.
If they have
Yeah.
a rent, like a renter in
That's
their
my
property.
bad. I didn't do
That's okay.
back and forth.
Yeah, and so we'll cover that more in the
Okay.
in the planning commission meeting. We just wanted to focus on the
Yeah,
objective
okay.
design standards that we're proposing here.
Okay. Fair enough.
So on the
Did we have anything about rentals?
They cannot. If they've had somebody living there, they cannot kick them out to do a lot split. If
What-
part of the application process, they would have to sign.
What I'm saying is,
affidavits.
say, an owner has a lot, he lives in the house, he wants to split it to build a rental unit.
Oh yeah, that's fine. As long as it's 30 days or over, it can't be short term.
That's what I'm saying, that's in the.
Yes, that is in
okay.
the much. 30 days or more.
Okay. Okay. And easement to public services, that's in there too?
Yep, all included.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
access, fire, whatever we need.
And the
we
owner
can
must be
require. The owner would have to live
residents
there for
and
the
live
next
there
3
on the
years.
site.
On site, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think as Adam has mentioned that once, a property owner take advantage of this will live with their land. It's not gonna, they can't just take,
No,
they
so-
can't do it again. And then if they own like this house and this house, they can't do it to this house. Like
Yeah.
they can't keep buying and repeating what they're doing in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, there is a limitation on adjacent
Yeah.
adjacent
Trying to
projects.
keep big developers.
The other
out.
thing to keep in mind, and this again is, this is as restrictive as state law will allow. But once somebody decides they would like to invoke SB 9 to do something to their property,
Mm-hmm.
they're limited to what SB 9 allows for the rest of essentially time immemorial. So if somebody subdivides a lot,
Mm-hmm.
they can have two primary dwelling units. Now, state law may change in the future and be retroactive, but at this point, this ordinance says if you subdivide your lot, you can build two primary dwelling units up to 800 square feet each, not a mansion that maximizes every single
Okay.
inch of building envelope possible. You don't get to subdivide the lot and then utilize the underlying zone standards to build.
You're saying the
something
max
bigger.
is 800 square feet?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's discouraging right there, so we probably won't see
Yeah.
too many of these.
And the point of that is
Gotcha.
because the state's
Worth it,
housing
yeah.
policy is to incentivize more housing production, and so for the state to allow subdivisions that don't actually result in or discourage only one more unit being built on them doesn't further that goal. So they're limiting it to 800 square feet to
Okay.
incentivize additional units.
Perfect.
Yeah, developers are not gonna get excited about this.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we've been trying to think about lots where we think something would pencil out, and
There aren't that many.
there are not that many.
Gotcha, okay. Getting all worried about something.
That's probably this whole process is probably beyond the common property owner.
Yeah,
They're trying to go through the MAP Act and everything. I mean, it's
still a big
expensive to
deal.
do this.
Just trying to update this.
Just to get another
ordinance
800
is
square foot.
overwhelming.
yeah.
Just might as well just build an
So much
ADU,
going
and a
on
junior
here.
ADU, go
Yeah.
through the building permit, and
Exactly.
call it a day. Yeah.
It would be a
I
lot
think,
easier.
and I think Adam and I have talked about this to length, but I think this wasn't obviously meant for our city. It's meant for very sprawled, out in the middle of nowhere, very large lots.
Lancaster,
Yeah.
things like that, places
Yeah.
like that,
I
yeah.
think
Fresno.
what did you use?
I
The
was
Costa
thinking-
Mesa.
Even Costa Mesa.
I was thinking Temecula because that's a
Costa Mesa's got those lots that are like 70 feet wide, 150
Tustin's
feet
got
deep.
some big.
And they
yeah.
they are so
lots.
large that, and I think they upzoned part of their city, but people have taken what used to be a single family residence and built like 12 units on it. And if you look at it today, there's a main driveway and you've got a couple buildings, and the lot's so big it looks like, oh yeah, this was always meant to be a
Fine.
multifamily
Mhm.
development. Well, those kinds of lots, you could still, you'd be able to do a flag lot in such a way that you
Yeah.
never feel like the original property has just now gotten so small it's difficult to maneuver.
Absolutely. But nonetheless,
Well, so
we
we'll
got
see.
still
Where there's a
something.
will, there's a
Yeah, I know.
Never say never.
Yeah. Okay, so our page 2 for lot coverage, we're still maintaining the 50%, and we added some language just to include all the structures, primary and accessory. For the open space, we, based on the committee's recommendation, we removed that and added urban open area, which is already defined in our code for multifamily. Basically to include, like, if you have a single level home, you get to provide 15% of landscaping just for recreational area, or to put, I don't know, a barbecue or something outside, and then 25% for 2 levels, and then 20% overall. Building separation just included just a minimum of 5 feet, just so not everything is crowded next to each other. For architecture, we added the urban design element. I didn't know, do you want me to go through that, or do we have any specific questions?
Yeah, the architecture.
I added the shielded light for your recommendation.
Right.
And then for...
Yeah, I would say the rest of the regulation of uses, I want to say, from architecture, item G architecture, H landscaping,
I for storage, and J for a laundry facility.
yeah,
Water
and
heater.
utilities. All of those are the main crux of our architecture standard changes.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about this under screening? At least one 15-gallon size plant for every 15 linear feet. Did we come up with that? I don't remember us talking about that last time. And if so, what was it previously? Well, let's see.
So the screening is
I mean, it seems,
Yeah,
one
so,
tree per
so
25
so the
linear.
there
original...
were landscaping requirements.
Yeah, the original reads, at least one 15-gallon size plant shall be provided for every 5 linear feet of exterior wall. And then alternatively, at least one 24-inch box
That's
plant.
right. Yeah,
Right.
because we said that was just too
Right.
close, that spacing.
So we wanted, to give them a little bit. So that was
Okay.
the language that was added.
Okay, I remember.
We're still in architecture?
We're on page
I'm on
4.
landscaping.
Well, yeah, we jumped a
Kind of
little bit
bounced
ahead.
around
I
a
didn't
little
mean
bit.
to.
If we
can
want
go
to
back.
start at G architecture, we can kind of go through.
Yeah, on architecture, on G, a common shared walkway pedestrian pathway shall be provided to access front doors of all units.
That one, I
I'm
think,
not sure that's,
Yeah.
staff is going to strike
gonna
that
I
one because there might be a situation.
I mean, you
on
can say
through
a
lot.
walkway,
Right.
but I don't think it has to be.
That's
Common.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I agree. There could be several.
Okay.
there could be separate ones. There could be a through lot, and they both have
So just a
yes.
walkway to each, if you want to have something in there.
Yeah. So just a walkway pedestrian pathway shall be provided access
Yeah.
to front door. Okay, I like that.
Let's see. So not reflected here. In item F, if any portion of a dwelling is less than 30 feet from a property line that is not a public right of way, then all windows and doors in that portion must either be clear story with the bottom of the glass at least 6 feet above the finished floor, or utilize frosted or obscured glass. This one we are modifying to say if it's less than the setback required by the underlying zone. 30 feet is unnecessarily restrictive, and essentially would require us to
That's
review
more than we
the
have on
glazing on every single
normal
window
property.
in any 60-foot wide lot. It's I don't think that's entirely necessary. And then there was
You,
we had discussed a couple of
the direct line of sight.
Oh, the direct line of sight, is that above it?
Yeah.
Yeah, item
Yeah.
E, we're gonna strike because that issue is being dealt with in item F.
E.
Yeah.
External architecture. So we had them numbered differently in the emergency ordinance. So these all go to the I only. Okay.
Yeah. One other note on item C. We're adding each new primary dwelling unit shall have a main entry that is clearly defined and to the extent possible be oriented directly toward the street. This one is one of those quasi-subjective standards. We're going to try to clarify that a little bit, but in addition to providing consistency with the neighborhood, which is the essentially the purpose that's listed here, there's also an overarching principle of providing obvious identification for emergency responders. So we're going to beef that up a little bit so that it's clear that on a single-family lot that turns into potentially 2 units with each with 2 units on it, so we have 4 units where one single family used to be. Then when the police or fire show up, it's not confusing where the front door of these units is.
The other thing on that, that I like the fact that they're visible to the street on a lot of jurisdictions that are very concerned with the police departments. That even in Irvine, where we had the 0 lot line in like Park Paseo up in Northwood, there were 0 lot line houses, the entries down the side and in, because there's a garage. There were
Right.
35-foot wide lots or 40-foot wide lots. And so you come home, you can't get to your front door without getting in a position where you're not visible and somebody could be hiding, and the police really don't like that. So I'm glad we have something in here
Yeah.
for that very reason.
Perfect. So we talked about D, E, F, G, and then we're gonna remove G and then H.
G, let's just, I like,
Oh, you want to do a common, just a common driveway?
No, a walkway.
A
I
walkway.
want to require a walkway.
A walkway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then H is pedestrian access and driveway access provided via same pathway. Decorative paving material shall be employed in lieu of pouring concrete or asphalt paving to delineate the pedestrian access.
I mean, I don't know why concrete shouldn't be allowed.
Is that
Asphalt, I could see, but concrete.
So on this one, the pedestrian access, what we're getting at is, and we are, this does allow asphalt. I don't know that we have the, design standards.
Nobody's using it anymore that I know of.
Nobody is, but I don't want to requiring concrete since something paved would have to be provided. I don't want to limit asphalt because I don't know that we have the authority to do that. That seems like a rather large ask. However, if a walkway is provided in the same area that vehicular access is provided, meaning you don't have a separate walkway from the driveway, we want the driveway to be indicated that part of it is for a walking path. And part of that is just so that when people are driving onto the property, and I'm thinking about flag lots here, you might have a 70-foot driveway going all the way to the back to some little unit.
We're talking a 16-foot driveway?
We're
Oh, you're going to have at least 14. It's going to be 10 plus 4. Because the vehicle's going to
it's
take 10.
14 feet, I think, is what we have in here.
yeah?
Is the minimum driveway width. But if you want to provide the walkway on that 14 feet, then I would like to see a walkway identified so that when people
Yeah.
are driving onto it, they realize somebody could be walking here.
I didn't see the 14-foot driveway.
It's
It's
in
under-
a separate.
It's on
section.
page 5 under access and circulation M, section M.
I mean, even that, it's a private residence, you know. I mean, do we require
It's-
that? I mean,
We don't require that elsewhere. I'm thinking outside the box on this one. If it's not something that
But
if
the
the
4
planning
foot
commission sees as necessary, then
like I said, you got traffic coming in and out, you know,
I mean,
it's a
yeah.
private residence.
Right.
yeah.
It's going to be.
Well,
You
it
can't
could be
get
a
by
private-
each other with a
it could be a
14-foot
private
driveway.
lead.
So somebody's going to have to back up.
Yeah, I just don't see.
And
why
it
that's-
could potentially be a private shared driveway between a
I
duplex.
guess that's true, but that should be addressed. This seems pretty restricted. Or pretty heavy-handed, I don't know what the,
But, you know,
Well,
that's
either-
kind of what we're trying to do
okay,
without saying it.
I guess it is an objective thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one that said it.
Yeah, I admit. At the end of the day, there would be a 14-foot wide
Okay.
access. So,
Do we?
has the city attorney weighed in on that?
Yeah,
assuming-
they weighed in heavily.
Good. All right.
And so if we do create the whole thing was if we do create design guidelines, it can't be guidelines; they have to be objective. And some of the stuff he crossed out, and he was like, "We can't say that. We can't say this." So I think some of this will get kind of reworded, where some type of pathway will need to be provided, but maybe just a normal driveway would be fine.
Okay.
All right.
The idea was to, for somebody to kind of redevelop their lot to make it look nice. That was the idea. Just make sure that somebody makes it nicer. But
Well, then let's take a note on this one. This one for me is a matter of safety.
Yeah, get somebody off the driving surface.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a clear path instead of decorative.
Something like.
Because somebody can argue how decorative. What is? It's not a specific type.
My house.
Does that have a driveway?
Yeah, I have a driveway. I don't have a path.
Yeah, I don't have a path either. It's okay. We make our path.
These shared driveways, it's going to be an interesting problem because we've done shared driveways on developments. Pain in the ass for the tenants.
Right.
Because people leave their car in the middle of the driveway, the bicycles are there, so you can't get in the driveway. The
Yeah.
toys are out there.
It's a good
It's
point.
just
That's a
a
good
giant
When it's a
nuisance.
shared driveway, it's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I think we have that language in access. That's actually a very good point. Okay, let's take a look. All right, landscaping. So for the tree removal, this language here, I didn't change. This is what we already have in our ordinance. What I did change is on the next page, on page 4, for setback. All setback areas and all areas not designed for walkway, parkway, drive aisle, and private recreational areas shall be fully landscaped and irrigated. Each development shall comply with the landscaping irrigation requirement contained in our landscaping zoning ordinance. City attorney did have some comments on this, so it'll be reworded. But basically, I just wanted to make sure that we have, landscaping in whatever areas that are not being used. That is not just land. And then we talked about screening. We already talked about the 15-gallon size plant. I didn't know if you guys had any other. Oh, we
No.
added for F the fence and
I
wall
noticed
shall
a
be.
typo,
Yes, sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's my
the delineate
yes,
is misspelled.
yes. Sometimes word doesn't catch my.
Yeah.
I'm not the greatest speller.
It's okay.
Um,
We get lazy when we have spell check.
yeah, I'm like, oh, it looks right.
Yeah, the self-correct.
Yeah. So we also added storage facilities, laundry facility. We added some designs for water heaters, mechanical equipment. Some of these, city attorney had some heartburn over, so they might be reworded, refinessed, maybe not objective enough, or maybe too restrictive, kind of like, why do we care if they provide laundry service?
Okay.
I was thinking, if I was a tenant, I'd want some laundry hookup or something.
Oh, they've got the apartment laundry units that are so small,
Yeah.
they can sneak them in.
Here's, this one sort of, the access and circulation kind of covers the parking
Right.
that you were talking about.
And then we talked, so K, L, M, and then N, we added for basically trash containers, making sure that trash is not, just everywhere. And then there are designated areas per our city's franchise hauler to be included. There was a question for utilities. There was a question last week about, or not last week, sorry, in our last meeting about the primary dwelling unit must have its own direct utility connection. Per city attorney was like, that is what state law says, so we're not changing that. They do require it.
So the trash,
Yes.
is there screening requirements for trash containers?
We're gonna basically follow whatever's our current hauler is,
Okay.
their guidelines. So I think the current is they have to have, per unit, they have to have 3 containers
Yeah.
for like trash, recycle, and I think it's organic, is what they're
Yes,
calling it
those
now.
are the three.
Yeah.
And they won't be visible from the street.
That's what I
Correct.
mean by the screening.
Yeah, trash containers shall be stored within designated
If
refuse
it's a
storage.
designated area, not within garage parking.
Our
Doesn't say-
normal standards is, I think throughout the city, is that shall not be visible from the street
So as long as
for
that's
residential.
Yeah,
implied.
no refuse storage area permitted in the front yard setback.
Yeah, they need to be mostly obscured from public view. But I think there's a carve out, like if you, in the front yard setback, you can have fences up to 3.5 feet tall. And so if you're storing them there, I think there's a carve out for that. This provides that, this cuts that out. So it's got to be entirely enclosed, which makes sense since where one set of trash cans used to service the entire property, now up to 4 sets. And so if they're all in the front yard setback, that's not compatible. I mean, that's just totally incompatible with the neighborhood.
So I'll add a note. I mean, the likelihood of all the units being on the front, facing the front. Like,
Well, let's say that there's only one that's not a through lot and everything's on one street. Everybody's bringing their trash can to the same place.
that is true.
And so if you've got people in a flag lot way in the back,
That's true.
then like I don't want to set people up for failure.
Right.
We get complaints all the time about people leaving their trash cans out at 18
Yeah,
minutes
taking up parking,
past
on-street
the time
parking.
when they,
Yeah.
18 minutes.
seriously, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, the trash trucks are here. They got here 24 hours ago, and their trash cans are still out there. So, refuse storage areas are critical. Because it identifies where they're supposed to be, and it makes the people that are going to want to do this think about it while they're going through the development process.
Mhm.
Okay. I understand.
I might have missed this when we were on architecture, but since it's only the max is 800 square feet, but can they make it 2 stories?
Yes. It's
Depending on the size of the
Right.
resulting lot.
Right.
And is there there's no requirement for a carve out for if they can't meet the standards or they don't want to meet the standards. Like the ADU ordinance allows
Yeah.
for an architectural permit.
no, there's no carve out. Basically, what happens is that they would have to go through our regular discretionary.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, I don't know, because I can't maybe go back and forth really good, but do we prohibit outdoor staircases, like if they want to do a
Not the
deck?
staircase, but no roof.
No, I
pitch.
saw that you made that comment in your notes. It's actually might be a good idea. I don't know. I mean, I just did a what's it called? An architectural permit where an applicant had a staircase and they were closing it, and we brought it to DRSC for a review.
Remember that one.
Yeah, I don't know if we can't. I don't think it'll be a huge.
I'll tell you this. We can ask about it.
Yeah, we can ask the attorney if it's objective enough.
Okay.
Well, it can be done in a tasteful way.
Right.
Exterior. As a matter of fact, remember that one project that we said maybe you open up the stairways because it was just too much structure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, hate to impose something that.
And if they're doing stacked flats, it's not uncommon to have an exterior stairway.
Especially in Southern California.
You know what? You bring up a good point.
But then-
If somebody
But if it's up for interpretation, it's not going to.
If somebody wants to, the setback areas, I think, are critical to maintain here.
Yes.
If we, if it's on the called the interior side of the property, whether the staircase is indoors or outdoors, I don't know that really matters.
No.
Plus, I think a lot of places will probably use it if there's a 2-story unit and they have a balcony at some point. These are the types of projects where they'll usually have a staircase to that balcony. That's also their front door.
Yeah.
Covers everything. But since there's an exemption in the code to allow units to potentially encroach into the setbacks by right, if they can't make a 1-story, if they cannot develop 2 1-story buildings, which is what what this will require if the resulting lots are over 2,000 square feet. If they can't do that in 1 story, then they can encroach into setbacks. Correct?
Yes.
I think there's a carve out, the similar one for 2-story, right? So if there's a situation where somebody wants to encroach into the setbacks because they can't make it work, or it's not possible to build 2 units within the setbacks, and they want to have a staircase, that staircase should not be allowed, and it's open, that staircase should not be allowed in the setback area.
Right.
Because since there's no minimum setback, nobody would want to see a spiral staircase on the right other side of their fence. That's just inviting an invasion of privacy.
Right.
So I think we can add something like that, and we'll see what we can do. Maybe require enclosed staircases if it's within a certain distance of this.
Okay, that
side
sounds
setback.
fine. That's fair enough. Do we have any provisions about roof types in the architecture? I didn't.
No, so
We don't care.
no, it's not that we don't care. We can only impose so much, and so what we try to do is say that whatever they're building to match their existing.
Okay, gotcha.
To match roof pitch or any kind of design
Okay,
architecture style.
that works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
not
was
only that,
probably-
but, you can have a well-designed home with a flat roof, with a shed roof,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
you know.
Been seeing more and more of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so we talked about utilities. Yeah,
I figured that out.
and talk about use regulations. So this came up for the owner occupancy. There was a couple of discussion about requiring the applicant or the property owner to provide some kind of proof over the years that they are living there. And city attorney was like, nope, we are not doing that. We cannot do that. They can only sign the affidavit, and then that is that
Wait,
is
wait,
in
wait.
They
good
take them
faith.
at their word.
When did he change course on that?
Yeah, he said we cannot ask them, because Councilmember Ward asked that as well when we were taking the fee to council to get it approved, and she was like, how does the city going to make sure that they are going to live there? And he said, no, we cannot ask them other than just sign the affidavit, and that is, and then if it shows otherwise, then we can go after them. But Well, we have a meeting with them.
Hold on, let me just look at what we've got here.
It's on page 6.
Where was the original language about
Yeah.
owner occupancy?
Right.
It's application page 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that one, but there was something in there.
Yeah.
I thought there was something more that was already in the code requiring evidence of ownership.
No, only affidavit. And the discussion about ownership only came after.
After utilities.
Primary unit. Oh, page 27. Under 9C, owner occupancy, unless a lot was formed by an urban lot split, the individual property owner of the lot split or 2-unit project must occupy one of the dwelling principal legal. Is that the one you're talking about?
Oh, page 16.
Unless the lot was formed by the individual property owners of the lot with a 2-unit project must occupy one of the. Well, this doesn't have any. For how long? For the rest of their
I think it was
lives?
3 years.
Yes. So there's either a duplication here, or there's a lack of standard. So, under application, we have owners. That does not address the owners having to live there.
Oh, I'm saying under regulated uses 13, page 16 on
Yeah.
the urgency, and page 6 on the regular one. It's the same verbiage as was there before. They just
Okay, yeah.
use
So
the number
regulation of
3
use.
rather than the word 3.
Yeah. So on page 16, it says they must. The applicant for an urban lot split must sign an affidavit stating that the applicant intends to occupy one of the dwelling units on one of the resulting lots as the applicant's principal residence for a minimum of 3 years. And then on 27,
For the just a 2-unit.
it doesn't say anything.
It doesn't say that. So the way the
It would
code.
imply for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Or it would imply for the next 2.5 days.
Maybe because it's harder to the way it's written. Maybe city attorney wrote it that way because for the urban lot split it takes way more, and we want them to live there so developers don't buy.
Well, maybe some penalty of perjury language.
Yeah, we can ask.
We have
Other than that, what
prosecutors.
an affidavit kind of creates. But that's for the lawyers to figure out.
Right.
Okay, we talked about. All right, so
So we get to the next for Title 17, and so it basically follows the same what we went over.
yes,
Where you at now? Which page?
I'm on page 7.
yeah. So
Okay.
page 7 mirrors what we had previously. You know, though, the garage.
Yes, and include the garage.
Yeah, we put the
Gee.
garage section back in title, or put it into title 16 as well.
So I did discuss this with the city attorney, and he's gonna put language in there that basically references this code. So whoever's doing a lot split will have to abide by this as well if they're gonna plan on building. Or do you want? Because
That was the whole.
that was my question to him because I'm like I think it's confusing. People have to go.
That
back
was the
and
whole
forth.
question
Right.
initially.
Right.
Was do we need all the architectural standards in Title 16? And it was determined yes because that informs the tentative map.
Okay.
So then why have something that says oh no also refer to this section?
Because not
If we're
everyone's gonna just.
duplicating the standards, just put them in both.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That is not the direction.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Move the garage thing
All
back.
right. Okay.
And they don't need to comply with the other section. Because if all they do is split the lot,
Mhm.
then there's nothing that would require them to go to the zoning ordinance.
No.
All right.
Same thing, architecture, landscaping, it's all the same language. Storage, water heater, mechanical. That is it. It is warm in here.
So the height is still in here. Because
Yep.
it was in the. Oh.
Yeah, I didn't mess with the
What,
height.
what page are you on there? Or you're on everything?
Yeah.
Go to page 11, you have a typo also.
Oh, okay.
L.
Got it.
The lignite.
Yes. That came up 3 times.
It's that same finger acting up again.
Yeah, just
Oh, there we go.
type. Okay. Any other comments, concerns?
Any other general questions? Commissioner Cosgrove, I know you had.
No, you're trying to go through back and
Yeah.
forth, but I didn't get to. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, and we'll get into a larger discussion of land use issues related to this at the Planning Commission, and we'll have our attorneys there to help us navigate.
I know you're going to try to provide both documents too.
So,
Or since we've been through this and you've got a clean one,
so this
or you're
is
just going to give the one.
moving forward. The way I'd like to present amendments to the code is to have what we're calling a PC version and a CC version, Planning Commission, City Council. The PC version is what's going to be attached to the resolution, forwarding a recommendation one way or the other, and that is the PC version is redlined. So it's what's the existing code and all the redline changes. Then we have an attachment that's the CC version that's just the clean document. When it goes to the city council, we flip those two so that if they want to see what all the changes are, they're just accepting a recommendation from the planning commission. But if they want to get into the nitty gritty, then they can go to a different attachment. Otherwise, their resolution introduces an ordinance and it's just a clean ordinance all the way through. So in November, when this comes back to the planning commission, we'll have a redline version that will be essentially the urgency ordinance as it was adopted, redlined, and then there will be a full clean version as a separate attachment.
And this will have all the final city attorney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are we gonna know?
I think it's.
I mean, we're
pretty
making,
cool.
We'll Mal will be there, and he can speak to this. Todd Leishman, our one of the associates at BBK as well, may be there. If there's anything that the city attorney is not entirely comfortable with, we'll mention that. You know, at the end of the day, they make recommendations based on their experience, but doesn't mean that the city doesn't.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not the law.
exactly. Exactly.
No,
Okay.
overall, I thought it was good. There's a lot of stuff in here that you guys did that's good. No,
Thank you. We tried.
yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, she's been working hard on this.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here. I tried to compare this to a couple other cities, and ours is like better, like more comprehensive.
I tried to make it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tried to find any things that you missed. I was like, I can't find anything. So,
Thank you. That's a big
I think
compliment.
Some
Thank
of the
you.
comments I made there, but then I didn't realize that they're already in there. Yeah.
Shows you're looking, that's good.
Okay, is there any, there's no new business aside from what we just completed? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Are we ready?
Sure.
Just one note, at the last planning commission meeting, during the staff comments at the end, I had mentioned that there is a 3 p.m. meeting on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving for the design review subcommittee. If the subcommittee would like to move that, and I don't believe we have anything scheduled for that meeting right now, but if the committee would like to,
And at that meeting, I indicated I would be out of town.
Oh, the
Yeah, I'll be in the
23rd.
desert myself, so.
okay. So then we'll just tentatively plan to
Not have that
keep
meeting.
business off of that
Yeah.
meeting.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
So the 23rd, we probably won't meet. Okay.
Yeah.
Take that off the calendar.
Okay, so I will move that we adjourn to the regular meeting of the Design Review Subcommittee to be held Wednesday, November 9th, 2022 at 3 p.m. Community Room 910, Battalion Negocios, San Clemente, California.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the time is 4:45.